They call me detective. That's all you need to know. The mask I wear isn't just metaphorical. In this line of work, anonymity keeps you alive. What I'm about to tell you happened 3 days ago, and it taught me that sometimes the most obvious answer is exactly what someone wants you to believe. Before we dive into this twisted case, there's something you need to know. Hidden throughout this investigation are secret letters. Find all of them, piece together the word, and you could win a special prize. Keep your detective eyes sharp. The clues are everywhere. I had just stepped into my shift when the radio crackled to life. Body found in Riverside Park, female, mid-30s. The dispatcher's voice carried that particular weight that comes with violent death. I grabbed my badge, checked my service weapon, and drove through the grey morning toward what would become the most deceptive case of my career. The park was shrouded in fog when I arrived, the kind that makes everything look like a crime scene even before you find the actual body. Yellow tape was already cordoning off the area beneath the massive oak tree that had stood sentinel over countless morning joggers. But this morning, it had witnessed murder. Sarah Mitchell lay crumpled in an unnatural position, her bright pink jogging outfit a stark contrast against the dark earth. She was face down, arms splayed awkwardly, as if she'd been dropped rather than fallen. The back of her blonde hair was matted with something dark. No obvious signs of struggle, no torn clothing, no defensive wounds on her hands. Just a single puncture wound behind her left ear, precise, clinical, almost surgical. The medical examiner arrived as I was photographing the scene. Dr. Reeves knelt beside the body with practiced efficiency. After her preliminary examination, she confirmed what I already suspected. Single puncture wound from a thin needle or syringe entered at the base of the skull, severed the brainstem. Death would have been instantaneous and silent. My first clue came from Sarah's jacket pocket. A crumpled receipt from Brewster's coffee shop on Main Street, time-stamped 6:47 a.m. The body was discovered at 7:15 a.m. 28 minutes between coffee and murder. I drove to Brewster's coffee shop, a cozy establishment that smelled of roasted beans and morning routines. Mike Brewster, the owner, was visibly shaken when I showed him Sarah's photo. He explained that Sarah had been a regular for 3 years, always ordering the same drink, large cappuccino, extra shot, no sugar. But it was Jenny Torres, his young assistant, who immediately caught my attention. Dark hair, tired eyes, and nervous energy that screamed guilt. When she saw my badge, fear flickered across her features. She avoided eye contact, fidgeted constantly, and her voice pitched too high when I questioned her about Sarah. Jenny claimed they'd only discussed casual topics: weather, Sarah's accounting job at Harrison and Associates downtown. But something felt wrong about every word she spoke. The security footage revealed a crucial detail: a 6-minute gap between 6:45 and 6:51 a.m. Mike explained the system had been glitching, but I suspected tampering. Jenny had the access and opportunity to manipulate the recordings. As I dug deeper into Jenny's background, the pieces formed a damning picture. She'd been a nursing student before dropping out 2 years ago. Her academic record showed she'd failed pharmacology twice, including an incident involving improper insulin administration. The instructor's notes described her as intelligent but unstable. Insulin, a hormone that could kill when injected directly into the brainstem, while being nearly undetectable in routine autopsies. Sarah's phone, found hidden in the park bushes, contained the smoking gun. The last message she'd received was from a burner phone purchased by Jenny 3 days earlier. "Meet me at the usual spot before your run. I have something important to tell you about Mike." Jenny had lured Sarah to her death. When I searched Brewster's with a warrant, I discovered Jenny's locker contained photocopied receipts and bank statements tracking cash discrepancies. Someone had been documenting theft from the register, several $1,000s over months. Draft notes in Sarah's handwriting revealed she'd noticed the irregularities and planned to expose the thief. The motive was crystal clear. Jenny had been stealing to pay for her mother's cancer treatments, and Sarah Mitchell was going to destroy her life by exposing the theft. I found Jenny at the bus station, ticket to Portland in hand, a syringe filled with insulin in her backpack. She didn't resist arrest. In interrogation, she confessed to everything: the theft, the murder, the cover-up. Case closed. Except it wasn't. 3 days after Jenny Torres was sentenced to life in prison, I received an envelope with no return address. Inside was a single photograph that made my blood freeze. The image showed Mike Brewster meeting with Jenny Torres in what appeared to be a heated argument, taken from across the street through Brewster's front window. The timestamp read 6:15 a.m., 30 minutes before Sarah's supposed coffee purchase, during the time Mike claimed to be alone checking inventory. But it was the second photograph that shattered everything I thought I knew. Mike Brewster, clear as day, injecting something into a coffee cup, while Jenny stood watch by the door. The timestamp, 6:46 a.m. A note was paperclipped to the photos. Jenny Torres was supposed to switch the cups. She couldn't go through with it. Mike Brewster killed Sarah Mitchell with poison coffee, then staged the park scene with Jenny's nursing syringe to frame her for murder. Jenny's theft was real, but she was trying to pay Mike back for her mother's treatments. Treatments he was providing money for while skimming from his own register to make it look like Jenny was stealing. Check Sarah's autopsy again for caffeine-based poison. Jenny Torres is innocent of murder. She's covering for the man who promised to save her mother's life. I rushed back to Dr. Reeves, demanding a more thorough toxicology screen. What we found changed everything. Traces of synthetic caffeine compound mixed with potassium chloride, a combination that would cause cardiac arrest within minutes, but might be missed in initial screenings, especially when everyone was focused on the needle wound. The needle wound had been post-mortem, staged to throw off the investigation. Mike Brewster had poisoned Sarah's coffee, waited for her to collapse during her run, then used Jenny's syringe to create false evidence. He'd manipulated Jenny's guilt over the theft and her desperation about her mother's condition to make her complicit in covering up his crime. But why kill Sarah Mitchell? The answer was in Sarah's apartment, hidden in files I'd initially overlooked. Sarah hadn't just been tracking Jenny's small-scale theft. She discovered that Mike Brewster was embezzling from multiple business accounts he managed, laundering money through fake supplier receipts and phantom employees. Jenny's few thousand was nothing compared to Mike's $250,000 operation. Sarah had been building a case against Mike, not Jenny. Jenny's theft was just the thread that led her to the larger conspiracy. When I arrived at Brewster's coffee shop to arrest the real killer, I found it empty. Mike Brewster had vanished, leaving behind only a note taped to the register. By the time you read this, I'll be somewhere warm with no extradition treaty. Jenny Torres killed Sarah Mitchell. You have your conviction. Sometimes that's enough. But it wasn't enough. Not for me. Jenny Torres was exonerated and released after serving 4 days for a murder she didn't commit. Her mother died while Jenny was in prison, never knowing her daughter had been framed by the man who'd promised to help save her life. Mike Brewster was never found. The money he'd embezzled was traced to accounts in 3 different countries, but the trail went cold. Sarah Mitchell's real killer disappeared like smoke, leaving behind only the wreckage of lives destroyed by greed and manipulation. The coffee shop closed permanently. Jenny moved away, unable to bear the weight of a town that would always see her as the woman who got away with murder. The truth meant nothing to people who preferred simple narratives over complicated realities. I learned something that case. The most dangerous criminals aren't the ones who act in passion or desperation. They're the ones who plan meticulously, who understand that human nature always looks for the obvious suspect, and who are willing to sacrifice anyone to save themselves. The mask I wear isn't just about protecting my identity anymore. It's about hiding the shame of nearly sending an innocent woman to death row, while the real killer walked free. Mike Brewster is still out there somewhere, probably running another small business, gaining people's trust, finding new victims to exploit, and new patsies to frame when things go wrong. But I'm still looking for him, because sometimes justice delayed isn't justice denied. It's justice waiting for the right moment to strike. They still call me detective. The mask stays on, and Mike Brewster's file remains open on my desk. A reminder that the most convincing lies are the ones that contain just enough truth to make you stop looking for the real story. Did you find all the hidden letters? Think you solved the puzzle? Check the pinned comment below for complete instructions on how to claim your detective reward. Good luck, investigators. The next case is already waiting. But this one never really ended.